You're actually going to be quite surprised when it comes to the beginning of this week, my gorgeous Libra, indeed. And I'm talking about the week in between the 12th and the 18th of December 2022. This is going to be brilliant and you are going to love it. The surprise that I'm talking about is going to come in a form of you realizing few different options completely out of the blue. Some of the options you were aware of like kind of before, but you didn't really understand how important they are to your life. So now when things are finally, my gorgeous Libra, aligning for you, this is what this energy is going to bring you. It's going to open you up really nicely, quite spiritually, of course, you know, and that in itself is really going to help you, you know, to see things for what they are, especially to those things that you are going to feel suddenly like a really high importance that you didn't feel before. So the beginning of this week, my gorgeous Libra, you are most certainly going to be facing few different options, you know, and what you need to understand that this is going to kind of happen completely unexpectedly. Do you see what I mean? So completely unexpectedly. Yes, I said that some of the options you were aware of before, but what is going to be so unexpected in your life, this sudden urge of you to pay attention to these options, and almost as if you are going to like saying to yourself and torture yourself, no, but in a good way, like, oh my god, do it, why didn't I do this before? Why didn't I pay attention to this before? Why didn't do something about this, like, you know, beforehand? You know what I mean? This is the type of like a bit of a little, just tiny little bit of torture that you are going to have with yourself, but not a bad torture, not a negative torture. So the bottom line is that, you know, unexpectedly at the beginning of this week, you are going to be facing few different options. But what you need to understand, that one specific thing now you need to pay attention to. You need to kind of really step back just for a moment, you know, and you need to understand that you must not rush whatsoever. Please tell me that you understand this. When you become aware of these few different options, that you're going to feel a very strong connection to at that very moment in time. This also can make things a bit fuzzy for us in terms of like kind of recognizing or trying to kind of like a really a pinpoint, you know, like which option would be kind of the best, you know, or like, shall I just do all these things at the same time? No, baby, no. When you are facing few different options, very important thing is for you to understand that all these options are already part of your life, already part of your spiritual journey, but it's just a matter of time, like one after another, you know, the way it's going to happen. So it's all about the actual timing. But what you need to be very smart, very clever and very intelligent about is about picking the right option right now at this stage of your life. And this only you're going to be able to do when you kind of step back, relax a little bit, chill out, and just see which option do you feel the strongest kind of connection with, you know, what your heart is telling you, what your soul is telling you, what your spirit is telling you. My lord, you're going to know exactly which option is actually the best for you. So that's the one that you need to go for. So do not let all the other like things that are already going to be on your mind kind of confuse you. And at the same time, you know what, like the right option, as soon as you become aware of like this right option, this in itself, it's also like kind of signifying a new, a fresh start in your life. Not only like a new fresh start in your life, but it's also like basically also signifying at the end of like delays. Okay, so this is what you need to understand. It's signifying also the end of delays in your life. You will know which option is right because suddenly you're going to feel extremely passionate. Suddenly you're going to feel extremely energetic. Suddenly your spirit is going to be rising about something very specific, very particular. But I want to stress again, it's important to step back and just think about all these options and take just a little bit of time, day or two. And I can assure you that the first option that would be on your mind, that is going to be on your mind, it's not going to be the right option. So this is why you need a couple of days after in order to kind of mentally prepare for this, in order to see what is going to be the right thing thing for you to do, because I'm telling you, the first option that you would go literally for, it wouldn't be the right option. So this is why the little cool-off period of couple of days is rather important for you to understand indeed, where you will become aware of your spirit arising, you're becoming really energetic, you're becoming really optimistic, you now suddenly like having so many different plans when it comes to your life and when it comes to your future. And this is because this particular one specific option is just going to be so much more powerful and so much more important. So it's not only about the spirit rising, but it's all your spirit rising, you know, but it's also to do with like a rather energized potential. And let me tell you something else, something even more mind-blowing. It's going to happen. You are going to have an omen, you are going to have a sign within the next couple of days after that moment in time. You see why it's important, this cool-off period, because you're also going to have an omen, a very powerful good omen, very powerful sign. And you will know when you have a sign, when you have that omen, that a one stage of your life literally came to an end. And this is brilliant. And new phase, it's about to begin. And even more importantly, when you have your own good omen and sign, you will know exactly what this is. You will be able to understand this from a completely different level. And that omen and that sign that you are going to have, it's also going to point the actual option that you should go for. I mean, it's going to be as obvious as anything, because this is instantly going to give you like a hope and inspiration, and this is instantly going to make you feel so optimistic about yourself and about your life. And now suddenly you're also going to have this very strong urge to like kind of connect with the people in your life that means to you the most. This is also such a priceless sign that you are doing the right thing, because people who are important to us, people who are in our lives, people who are really important to us, they are absolutely mind-blowing part of our spiritual journey. They are meant to be that, you know what I mean? So this is all kind of like these are all little signs that are kind of guiding you along the way and making you aware of the fact that you are releasing yourself from the amount of negative energy that you've been through over the last couple of years that was affecting you, and it was affecting your relationship with people in your life, but you couldn't explain this. So it was affecting the relationship with people in your life. Maybe you just drifted apart just a little bit. Maybe you haven't seen people who mean to you so much as often as you wanted to. You know, there can be so many different aspects of this that you're going to be able to connect to. But however, you just need to really understand this and take this as a very, very sacred sign, my gorgeous Libra, that things for you are moving in a rather positive direction, bringing you this a really positive change into your life. And also, let me tell you that, you know, you're going to kind of like a really, and another thing that I was going to say at the beginning of the week, you are going to become aware of like, I don't know, someone who just said something that was like kind of dishonest, and someone you're going to become aware of someone who not that long ago actually said something to you, and it's not as such that that person was dishonest, but that what that person actually told you was some kind of misinformation. And that didn't happen that long ago. It happened quite recently. But the problem is, when it comes to that misinformation, this is like kind of like it's not that this kind of redirected you slightly, but it's just kind of slowed you down, because it made you feel really negative and made you feel really scared about something. And the fear is a very kind of negative, obviously negative emotion, but it's a very powerful emotion as well when it comes to our energy, because it's like kind of having this power over us to kind of like a temper with our own energy in such a way. If we want to make a really big step, if we want to start something, this affects us, and it's really kind of makes us weaker. So there is something that someone scared you like not that long ago, and that in itself, it's going to become obvious now that this wasn't the truth, what this person said to you. And this is actually going to play an important role in your life, my gorgeous Libra, because at the same time, you know, it is like kind of going to really prove your own point to you, and also it's going to give you actually a very kind of interesting idea what to do when it comes to your finances as well. You see what I mean? It's going to give you at that moment in time, you will know that you were right, and you will be able to apply that intuition for some kind of financial idea, something that was on your mind not that long ago, and you weren't too sure about about, but that you were intuitively guided, some kind of financial idea, and now that financial idea, it's going to be highlighted, because it is just going to happen at the right time, and you're going to realize, oh my Lord, I'm opening up spiritually. So somehow you will be able to connect all the dots now together, and you will be able to apply that situation and turn it into something positive, and you will see what I mean. And this is all going to come from you understanding the power of your own intuition and of you being psychic. My gorgeous Libra, I told you this so many times, you're one of the most like psychic signs. Like, my God, everybody's psychic, of course, we are all psychic indeed, but there is something very special about you. You're very powerful since the day you're born, very humble, because you're so humble, because many of you wouldn't even kind of like be able to not necessarily notice you being so psychic, but you're so humble, you know, and the energy of being humble when it comes to these things and the energy of being psychic is just like kind of like a really mind-blowing combination. You become so much more powerful, you know, being egoistic, and when people allow their ego to take over, it's like, no baby, no. It is a very negative energy. It is a very bad energy that is keeping you in your own little cage, you know what I mean? If you're like egoistic with things, so you just have to like kind of always snap out of it whatsoever. I'm not saying you're egoistic, you're completely opposite, my gorgeous Libra, and this is why you're so powerful. But also sometimes if you're thinking really negatively, you know, you can kind of in turn this negativity into kind of real challenges later on. So the bottom line is just to be on top of things, just to keep on being like kind of optimistic, and just keep on moving forward with your life, and keep on understanding that, you know, we are changing, you know, life is changing us, our spiritual experience are changing us, our experiences in life are changing us. Every week we are completely different, let alone every year, you know what I mean? So this is an important stage of your life, and I hope you understand this, because by the time you get to the mid part of this week, you know what, my gorgeous Libra, I can't even explain this to you, your personal power, it's about to return. So the fact that your personal power, it's about to return, you're going to be kind of like you're going to realize, you know, there is something very interesting that it's actually going to happen also at around the midweek, and you're going to realize that, you know, that you're stronger than you know, and I like this so much. And also on another hand, my gorgeous Libra, at around the midweek, you know, there is this gorgeous person. No, it's not myself. I'm joking. There is this gorgeous person here. It's like, I would describe this person like someone really powerful, someone really interesting, someone really spiritual, someone very resourceful, someone very kind of down to earth, someone extremely practical, someone very kind of like centered, you know, when it comes to their life, and someone who really adores nature, and someone who adores animals. This particular person, it's really going to, you know what, I like this person because that person is going to play an important role. That person is going to cross your path, my gorgeous Libra. This particular specific person is going to cross your path, okay? And this particular person is going to play a very interesting role in your life, because you're suddenly going to be reminded of your childhood. Suddenly you're going to be reminded, you know, something is going to be triggered within you, like, oh my God, you're going to be suddenly reminded of your own childhood, you know, and this in itself, it's actually a really good sign. And that in itself, it's not only like you being reminded of your childhood, but somehow on one hand you're gonna understand through that person to not to kind of take things for granted, and then on another hand, you know, you are gonna understand through that person and through your past that you are actually ready for something new. This is such a complex situation, and it's gonna ring in every single Libra's life completely differently, but I'm telling you that this is such an important stage here. The bottom line is, you're gonna realize that you are ready for something new, and at the same time, you know, you are gonna also understand that you have to be responsible at this stage in your life. You have to put your foot down at this stage in your life. You need to be a leader of your life. by being a leader of your life. Not only you are doing the right thing right now, because every single decision needs to still come from you, but at the same time you're showing others, my gorgeous Libra, how it's done, especially to those beautiful people in your life. And by being like a leader of your life, you're also creating some kind of a very, very solid foundation here. You will see exactly what I mean. And even more so, at around the same time, there is going to be very like you are going to feel very creative. And it's like, oh my God, and you will feel like energetic, you will feel very creative, and you're going to wonder like, where on earth is this energy coming from? You're going to feel like a little ballerina, do you know what I mean? You're going to feel like you want to move in all sorts of directions. You're going to feel so light, you're going to feel so powerful, you're going to feel so, you know, so psychic also at the same time. But I can see that you are going to find something that you're going to work on, and you're going to be enjoying yourself. So this is what it happens at the time of creativity, baby. But then suddenly at the time of that creativity, something is going to come to you. Something is going to come to you, some kind of realization, how you're going to go on with like a really difficult choice, some kind of difficult choice that you are going to be facing. The answer to that is you need to start something new. You need to start some kind of new venture. You need to start some kind of new project. Now it's time. You've been through so much, you've been through a lot, and now you need to prepare yourself that you are going to tap into a very, very interesting energy. And this is what you're doing right now, by just focusing and responding, you know, on all this like kind of psychic messages that you're going to be getting throughout this week indeed. Sorry. And also by the time you get to the last part of this week, my gorgeous Libra, do you know what, it's like basically you are going to find yourself like a really reminded, you know, you're gonna realize that the answer to like a really, really big problem here, the end of the week is bringing you the answer to a really big problem that was, oh my God, affecting your life and making you feel very dark and very negative for way too long. And the reason why you felt so dark and negative only sometimes, you know, not all the time, but sometimes only because not that you were blaming yourself as such, but you just didn't feel that you can do what you want to do. And you've just felt like way too restricted, and this restriction just like kind of sucked out the life out of you, and you didn't realize how much life was actually sucked out of you in terms of energy, like how you're going to realize at the end of the week, you know. And this is what you're going to be thinking about, how your life was restricted, and then this in itself really kind of made you or put you in a stage where your heart was just like a little bit broken, because you were slowed down, you were kind of put in the limbo over the last year or so, and this is, you're going to be reminded how you were working on something, you wanted to do something, you wanted to achieve something, but you're like kind of halfway there, and this is what you're going to be reminded. And then suddenly you are going to get a very, very interesting message you're going to get. And I like this because, again, through the power of my Lord synchronicities, like hello darling, through the power of the actual synchronicity, you are going to get this message, and the message that you are going to get, it's actually going to you know, make you aware of exactly what you need to do, what adjustment you need to make. It's going to, this message that you're going to get now, suddenly it's going to change everything, because this message is nothing to do with you, but it's to do with what happened in some other people's lives. And now what you're going to find out, what happened in some other people's lives that have got nothing to do with you, you will be able to apply this onto your life. But not only that, this is going to give you the power to see this situation from a completely different angle, and then you're going to realize, oh my God, it's not that bad, it wasn't that bad. And even more so, you will know like what sacrifice do you need to actually make at this stage in your life in order to move on. And you are going to feel really brave here, you are going to feel really strong, because you are going to get hold of this really powerful information, which is most certainly going to show you the way, what adjustment in your life do you need to make, what sacrifice in your life you need to make. But most certainly you are really going to be willing to do this, and you are going to be happy, and that in itself is going to make you feel so brave, my gorgeous Libra. So it's all about the bravery that you're going to feel at the end of the week, and you're going to feel like you want to do something big, do something major, make some kind of like a really big step. And this big step that is going to be on your mind that you want to make, even the people who are the closest to you are going to be completely surprised, like, oh my God, but this is is coming from, but this is brilliant. And even more so, a couple of days later, you are there's so much is going to be happening this week, my gorgeous Libra, because a couple of the 2 or 3 days later, now here at the end of the week, it's like 2 or 3 days later after this situation, you're going to kind of really remember something that you've learned over the last year, but you learned something and something new, and then you had such a strong passion, and you felt like, oh my God, like this is a big mama. Do you know what I mean? Like you felt such a strong passion over it, but then you forgot about it. Something happened, so much like kind of like going on negative, like a few different negative informations, just like kind of turned things around towards its own directions, you know what I mean, that affected you, of course. So you are going to be reminded what you've actually learned, and that in itself, what you learned, is now going to basically, suddenly you're going to be thinking about it, and suddenly you're going to become very curious about it, and suddenly there is some kind of a new idea that it's also going to come out of that, how you're actually going to do this. But at the same time, it's important to mention that you are going to be motivated by feelings quite a lot, and this in itself, it's really going to help you, do you know what I mean, with the part of your life that you feel completely defensive about normally, because you would kind of worried, making the necessary step. And now this is going to be the time where you are really, something is going to be absolutely obvious to you. You're going to go on a completely different level. You're going to become very deep, and so this deepness is going to help you to reflect in a completely different way. So any negativity or any fear that you would feel normally at this stage of your life, what would put you off normally, you're not feeling ready to take this on. But now you're just it's a completely different ball game going on here. You're entering completely different dimension, my gorgeous Liberina, and this is why you're going to feel so adamant, because all these things are gonna are leading towards the particular victory in your life. All these things are going to make you aware of within the next few weeks that what you're doing right now, my God, this is a really wise choice, that it's really going to bring a huge recognition and success into your life. It's going to reflect on so many different aspects, when it comes to promotion, when it comes to you going on the next step, next stage of your life. This is going to be absolutely brilliant, and it's also going to bring so much happiness and optimism into your life. After this moment, you are just going to go into this planning mode where you are going to end up oh my God, feeling the vibration and energy you haven't felt in absolutely years, especially when it comes to feeling so excited about what's to come. So now, my gorgeous Libra, I'm just going to shuffle these oracle cards, and I'm going to see what is going to be your oracle card of the week. Okay, so your oracle card of the week, my gorgeous Libra, is going to be, it's time to ground yourself. It's time to ground yourself. So this is a very important week also, to try to, as much as you can, mentally prepare for what's to come. When I say that you should mentally prepare for what's to come, try to recharge yourself a little bit. Try to recharge your batteries a little bit. Try to recharge yourself through the actual recentering. Try to ground yourself. What do I mean by this? Try to really meditate. Try to take some time out for a day or two. Try to visit the forest. Try to visit the nature. Try to sit by the river. Try to sit by the sea, because the water is extremely spiritual, and it does have a really powerful effect on us. So this is what you need to do. Just try to remember, when it comes to this week, to take just a little bit of time out and ground yourself. This is very important, because what you are doing is you are mentally preparing yourself. Okay, you are mentally preparing yourself, and once you mentally prepare yourself, then you have a courage to do things that you want to do, and then you are able to recognize things that you should be things that are taking priority in a completely different light. So this is why this is so important. A lot is going to be going on. A lot is going to be happening. There is a lot that you're going to hear as well throughout this week, and this is something that worries me. For example, like what you're going to hear, it's nothing to do with your life, but it's to do with things on the outside that are very heavy and very unbelievable to believe. So there is something that it is going to be unbelievable to believe on the outside, nothing to do with your life, that is going to affect you and just steal your attention away from what you should be focusing on. So this is why, because you're going to become aware of quite a few different things that may show you out of balance a little bit, but only when it comes to making it a little bit more difficult for you to focus on yourself. So this is the part of the challenge. But if you ground yourself, if you center yourself, if you meditate a little bit, then you just kind of rebalance yourself, and you just protect yourself in the best possible way. So this is something I highly suggest you to do, my gorgeous Libra, indeed. Okay, my gorgeous Libra, thank you ever so much for watching my videos. I'm sending you brightest blessings, lots of love, healing, peace and light to every single one of you. Thank you ever so much for watching my videos. Sasha Bonasin, psychic medium. Love you. Bye.